this will be insane. Look at this. Obtain time. Oh my god! Insane! Insane, yo! Hey, what is up guys? GuitarRock here. Welcome back to another counter-side video. Alright, today's video, we're going to be talking about the new gear. So hopefully to give you guys an idea of how strong this gear is in case you decide to skip it somewhat. Alright, let's jump into the shop. So the new season gear is basically this gear, very defensive gear called Sincere Set. So there's basically Sincere Movement, Sincere Skeleton, Sincere Radar. As you guys seen in the earlier section of the video, I've already gotten my Sincere Movement. I purchased this yesterday and I got really lucky. Got a CDR. Now, let's talk about these gears a bit compared to Courageous, compared to what we have right now, Gordias, Mace, which is going to be a better gear, or how does this gear stacks compare to all the other gears that we currently have. In terms of rankings, I would place this gear slightly below the Mace gears. Alright, so for obvious reasons. When you jump into the Mace gear, if you guys are not familiar, the Mace gears are these gears right here. Ideally, these are the best gears in the game for now because they are just so versatile. So what Mace gear has in particular in its secondary stat, which is what we want to talk about, right? Secondary stat is the ability to deal more damage to ground units. Alright, anti-ground damage. As you guys can see, anti-ground damage is insanely versatile. Alright, it works on every single unit. It works in PvP, it works in PvE, it works on a lot of units. So anti-ground units, the only downside is it doesn't hit air units. Now, if you talk about air units specifically right now in the meta, like who's the air unit meta characters? Rosaria, Janus, maybe Sparrow, Woodpecker, Buzzard, Evelyn. Those are like the few air units that we have right now, and there's not too many of them. And in some cases, if those units are banned in PvP, anti-ground damage is just going to be way more superior. Now, the particular armor will have a different stat. So the armor is actually really good for tanks because it gives anti-ground damage resistance. Alright, it means that you're going to receive less damage from ground units. Alright, in this case, you can see my Niobin will have 14%, will receive 14% so-called less damage from ground units as opposed to air units. So in certain cases, Rosaria does counter this particular Niobin with this particular gear. Alright, so let's talk about the particular Sincere gears then. So Sincere gears, basically, depending on which one you obtain, there's three versions. One is for Sincere Movement is for counter units. The other two is for mech and soldiers respectively. So depending on which one you want to. If you're someone that only runs mech teams, so you know you buy the one for mechs. If you're someone that runs soldier teams only, you should be buying the one for soldiers. As you can see, the mid stat right here, let me show you guys. It's anti-counter damage resistance, anti-soldier damage resistance, or anti-mech damage resistance. Think of this as a courageous gear, but a defensive version of it. It's like the resistance version. It resists damage from those units. So these are mostly for tanks, if you ask me. Now, obviously, right now, I can say, wholeheartedly say, probably the best one for Titan would be this one, Sincere Radar. If you can get like a HP set for Titan, it will be pretty strong. Because what counters Titan the most is mostly, besides Ace Yoyun of course, which is counter snipers. Alright, Xiaolin, Sanae, maybe Karinwon to a certain extent, Sylvia. I might miss some snipers there, but most snipers, strong ones, are actually counters. So if you have this on Titan, I would say this is going to be a very good set. Your Titan is going to be even more tankier if you can get the middle option as anti-counter damage resistance. Now for the last option, random option, you can choose between like crit damage resistance or even anti-sniper, anti-ranger damage resistance. Those are pretty good. Apparently you can't get anti-ground damage resistance on the last option, surprisingly. Let me show you guys again. As you guys can see, right, in the option list, surprisingly, there's no anti-ground damage resistance. So it's not as good as I thought it would be. If it has the ability to have anti-ground damage resistance, I would say this would be a very good defensive gear because you have anti-ground damage resistance on the option 2 and option 1 you have anti-counter damage resistance. That would be like insane in terms of like a insane defensive gear. But for now, it's not as insane as I thought it would be, You know, there's no anti-ground damage resistance. If you're looking to have a good overall defensive stat, crit damage resistance might be the best one you can go for. Skill haste not too far behind, especially for counter gears. Skill haste is always appreciated, but the rest of the damage resistance is going to be dependent on how you want to use it. As you can see, I managed to kit out mine accordingly. This is anti-counter damage resistance and crit damage resistance. So for CDR gears like this would be very beneficial for counters that are slightly on the tankier side. Alright, something like Ayuna, for example, is not too bad on her because ideally Ayuna, if she's tanky, she can live longer, and if she lives longer, that means her burn, her HP per second burn is going to be longer as well, and therefore she can hopefully melt more tanks in the process when she can get her skill up and hopefully heal in the process as well. So in a way, CDR can be good for counters, but if you don't get CDR, something along the lines for HP, something along the lines of defense, something along the lines of evasion, those are going to be pretty strong. Now, should you buy this? All of it, because right now, as you can see, Courageous, I already purchased all of it from the previous season. Now, I am aware that there are some players that miss out. So if you miss out on these particular Sincere gears, alright, right now it's on discount. 50% is a lot. 3,000 gauntlet points to basically purchase this, and this thing, you guys know how this works. You can't whale for the gauntlet points. There's no way for you to whale for gauntlet points. It's limited, so you can only farm so much per day. If you miss out on this opportunity in the current season and you intend to skip them and buy them in the future, they're going to cost ×2, which is 6,000. Alright, 6,000 of these gauntlet points is a lot just for one gear, whereas you can now buy 2, right? Now, if you're free to play, I would advise you to try to get these gears at the discounted price, unless you're someone that just started the game recently. Now, if you started the game recently, I know you will have plenty of regular gears here, like the maze gears, which I think you should prioritize on, and even Gordias arguably might be better to a certain extent, because Gordias works in PvE as well. Whereas for these seasonal gears, this is strictly a PvP gear, because anti-counter, anti-mech, anti-soldier is strictly a PvP. You don't really use them in PvE as per se. For example, in Consortium Co-op Boss, you don't really use this to fight against the worm. You don't really use this to play Danger Close either. It doesn't really provide much there. In most PvE stages, right now that we have, the enemies are basically CO, and there's no anti-CO, you know, in terms of the properties. So keep that in mind. It's mostly a PvP gear, and anti-counter is going to be the most consistent one because most players, regardless, are still running counter teams right now. So yeah, that's my personal thoughts on the gear. If you miss out on it, it's not too bad. Maze gears are still going to be better throughout. Let me know what you guys think of the Sincere gears in particular. Do you guys intend to purchase all of them? As always, that's going to be it for today's video. Hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, subscribe for more insane videos in the future. I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a nice day. Goodbye.